What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to episode 3 of Words Worth Considering with your host, Taylor. I am from the Cold Shower Podcast, and I also do a little bit of YouTubing. So this series that I started, if you're not familiar with it, is where I choose one word that I think is present in society, or maybe should be a little bit more present or talked about and discussed a little more openly. And I take 10 minutes to research that word and 5 minutes to discuss that word. So in the past, I've done the word facts, and I've also done the word loneliness. And today, the third word that I want to talk about is actually from some organic thoughts that I had a couple of years back during my wedding. My wife and I both decided that we would write our own vows, but also that we wanted to thank some of the people that we felt helped prepare us for marriage. And one of those people was my dad, and I wanted to publicly thank him. And the thing that I felt he was responsible for showing me was how to figure out what situation calls for leadership and what situation might call for followership, or to be a follower of someone who maybe has a little bit better grasp on what's going on. So I saw him model that throughout my life, and it certainly wasn't meant as a dig to him. It was a compliment in that he could put his ego aside and be a follower when it was necessary. And I think that for society, that can be a very difficult thing for people to try to understand, is to put that ego away or try to see the value in becoming a follower. And admittedly, it was my pastor who spoke on followership this past week. And like I said, these were some organic thoughts that I'd already had, but he was really able to hammer home some things and structure and shape this discussion for me so that I could pass it on to you guys. But what's a little different about this one is that I didn't see the need for me to spend 10 minutes researching the word following or followership, because a lot of this is actually from my own experience growing up and some things that have come to light recently. And so, as I mentioned, my dad really modeled followership, and it was something that, I've grown to really respect him for. And actually, this past Christmas, we had a discussion with our family. We do this strange tradition where we put all our names into a hat, and then we draw the various names, and whichever family member you get, you have to take a couple of minutes and share what you appreciate about them or a cool memory that you have of them. And that is a pretty uncomfortable thing, probably particularly for my dad, because it was his mother-in-law that drew his name, and so she had an opportunity to say what she thought about him. But what I thought was interesting is that she had said when my dad first started to date and married my mom, is that he didn't seem fully capable yet as a man. He was still finding his way in the world, trying to figure out, how to be a young married man, how to create a home, and all of these things that, come with the role of husband. And my grandpa is someone who's very accomplished in those areas. He's an excellent husband, excellent father, can fix nearly anything. And those weren't necessarily characteristics that my dad had right away. He had to learn those things. And he was able to learn those because he spent so much time with his father-in-law, who is my grandpa. So as my grandma last week was explaining this, she said to my dad, "I feel like you now can take care of us." And they live next door to each other. And she says, "I just feel so safe and secure knowing that you are right next door if we ever need anything." And so that got me thinking about the other aspect of followership, which is if you spend time following, you are actually kind of preparing yourself for those moments of leadership that the future is going to present. And I thought that that was really cool for that to come full circle for my dad, and for him to now be in maybe more of a leadership position for the people that he actually learned a ton from in the past. And then the other story that I have is actually also from my grandma. And what I should say is that I believe followership and servanthood go hand in hand. Now, I fancy myself a servant. I try to help people in various ways and be there when they might need something, and to just serve others and try to find their strengths and amplify and magnify those strengths. So what my grandma had said, and this was a question that I had asked her when I was younger, when her mother was kind of in her later years and was having some of the health issues that come with older age, and she was needing to be taken care of, I knew that my grandma was doing some things that I found to be difficult, which meant bathing her mother, cleaning her up after the bathroom, all of these things. And I asked my grandma as a teenager, as I was like, how did you do that? How did you feel comfortable and not just get grossed out by doing those things? And she said something that has literally stuck with me ever since then. And she said that she found it to be her privilege, after all that her mom had done for her growing up and throughout her adult years, it was now a privilege for her to be able to repay her back in some small way. Even if that means those uncomfortable situations where you're bathing your own mother or you're cleaning up your own mother, things that really I don't think any of us ever want to have to do. But she was able to look at it as moments of servanthood so that she could really show an appreciation for all the things that her mom had done for her. So I'm already over my time, but I did want to share this with you in the idea of how valuable it can be to be a follower. And sometimes that's because you may end up actually grooming yourself for moments of leadership that will be needed in the future, or just simply because servanthood is needed in those moments. And so I would encourage you guys to look for opportunities to follow so that you can be better prepared to lead in the future, or simply to just serve others, because it is such a privilege and it's something that everybody needs. And I know that you guys will do a great job of it. So this was episode 3 of Words Worth Considering, followership, following. I hope that you guys got some value from this, and I will keep pumping them out. Catch you guys later.